how we were able to get over 100% return on investment in the stock market under 30 days. Now I know it's people who do that in a day. I know it's people who do that in a week. But I know it's some people who never do that, and I know some don't do it in a year. But in 30 days, that's pretty good, and it's definitely something worth sharing. What up? You got Mr. Smith, 0.5 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. In this brief video, I want to talk about how we were able to get 100% rate of return on our investments in the stock market in 30 days. Now, I just made up the term literally before I push record. I call it rabbit hole investing. Rabbit hole investing. And that was something we did ourselves. And I'll tell you about that. Matter of fact, I'll say that for last. And the second one was because we were given some insight/education to make that possible. And I'll share that one first. See, when you're exposed to good people who genuinely want to empower people because they understand the laws of the universe, because they understand that them sharing valuable information doesn't do anything but increase their territory, doesn't do anything but make their life and finances more abundant, then you run into people who freely share information that if you take it, you'll get results. If you don't, oh well, they still did their part and they still will benefit greatly from the sharing of it, whether you implement it or not. When you run into those type of people, those are the people you want to keep close because they genuinely want to share information with you. And whether you meet them or not, they just gave you some value that can help better you, your life, your family, your finances, the whole 9 yards. So what am I speaking of? Well, the insight and education from somebody who has those qualities that I received came right here on YouTube. Depending on where you're watching this video, I'm assuming YouTube. Came right here on YouTube. And that was the brother Chris Sain. I salute that brother. I found out about his page, towards the end of last year. He hadn't quite hit that 100,000 subscribers, but he was just sharing education pertaining to stocks, and he was keeping it simple, wasn't trying to overcomplicate it with terminology, things of that nature. He was just sharing it how he felt it needed to be shared in a way that was digestible, but also showing his journey, also giving guidance and tips and terminology and encoding it in every time, and then telling you ways to stay profitable in the market because you never truly lose until you sell. Well, it was one particular stock, and he's giving out several that are doing great, but I'm just speaking of one that was hit over 100% in less than 30 days. And of course you can't time the market, so I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's timing the market, but he does do his due diligence before he shares it because he values his integrity enough to not tell you to do it unless he's vetted it. And you still don't know what can happen with the company, but he does his part in doing the due diligence and encouraging you to do the due diligence before you invest in it. He just shared from an entertainment standpoint, but definitely gives a ton of value. So he gave insight on this particular stock. So I looked into it. I like some of the things that I saw as what it stood for, bought into it. Now, when I bought into it, it wasn't automatically right then and there in profit mode. In fact, it was in loss mode in the sense that I paid more for the shares of stock than it cost right after I bought it. So in other words, it went down right away. And then the next week, it kind of was a little down wavering. But another thing that I learned, and we've been teaching financial literacy for a while, so we knew about dollar cost averaging and, investing long term, buying and holding, but it's certain little nuggets that he shared that's very beneficial. And one of the ones that I favor is known as averaging down. And I'm going to get into the rabbit hole investing, so stick around to the end because it might be, it may inspire you to figure out some things that can help you get 100% rate of return. So do not miss the rabbit hole investing strategy that I just made up. But long story short, once it went down, he taught about averaging down in some other videos. And basically what averaging down is, say for example, you pay $15 for a stock. Well, next time you look at it a week later, it's $13 and some change, meaning that you paid $15, but it dropped in value. So it looks like you lost money. It's in the red because you lost money. Averaging down means you buy some more of it because it costs less. So then when you weigh out all of your costs, the initial shares you bought at 15, the second amount of shares that you bought at 13, the average amount is your average cost. So that's known as averaging down if you buy while it's lower than what you pay for as an average. So that's a powerful concept, and it makes total sense. So it might be, you know, you might be like, duh, obvious. That's obvious, but it was just a small nugget that positions you to where every time it drops, you nibble. You grab a little more, you grab a little more, and now it gets to a place to where it doesn't dip down that far ever again, and you position yourself to be in the green forever. Well, in this particular case, that happened. I averaged down again, and boom, that joker just ended up taking off and got over 130% really rate of return. And my only thought was, man, I should have put in way more. But the nature of the business is taking money and growing it into something with the right guidance. So if you're not following Chris Sain, I'm gonna link below so you can follow his channel. It takes nothing from me to expose you to somebody who knows what they're talking about. If you're not following him, I encourage you to, you know, tap into what it is that he's talking about. I really feel like he has a heart of gold, and you know, he's positioning people mentally to dominate in the area that wasn't necessarily designed for people that look like myself. But at the end of the day, we understand that we're directly connected to the universe, and that being said, it is meant for us. That's just how it works. We directly connected to the source. That's all another video. Now, what is rabbit hole investing? And this is something that I did that created an investment in another stock that gave over 100% return on investment. Sometimes when you're tuned into something or interested in something, if you look at it, it's cool, and you might, you know, spend a little time looking into it. But if you think from a standpoint of finances and wealth building on a regular basis, it may cause you to go down a rabbit hole. It goes a little deeper, and then you discover something that nobody else knew existed or is even talking about. And if you find certain investments that nobody else is talking about, that's a good opportunity to make a great deal of return on investment, because by the time they find it, you already been in it and the stock has probably already risen. That's exactly what happened. Long story short, it's a guy I follow for health. And he drops a lot of nuggets about things that are going on in the world, and, you know, just trying to position you to mentally be in preparation. But he's all about empowering people from a health standpoint. Well, he has this thing that's about to roll out known as the Orange Project, and it's centered around elderly, and the elderly being able to be in a habitat or an environment that's conducive or productive to them thriving, not just sitting around like they would in a nursing home. So he has the opportunity to where a person can invest in that. Well, this ain't even the investment, because that hasn't even launched yet, you know. But nonetheless, I looked into the app that it was going to launch through, and I was like, I wonder what this is about. So I looked into the app, didn't find nothing about the app, but I found out the finances or the financial side behind the app that's launching this and giving people the ability to create their own form of angel investing, kind of pretty much a Shark Tank. If I dug a couple of layers deep and found the banking institute that's helping move and push that, I was like, let me look into them. Come to find out, they're trading publicly. They've been around for a while. Stock hasn't performed or done much, but they've partnered with a vehicle that has a lot of potential. I said, you know what, let me dump some money into that. Then you know what it was gonna do, but I liked what it was connected to. I liked what I was seeing. And lo and behold, over 100% rate of return, and that's called rabbit hole investing. I took something I was interested in, dug a little deeper, and discovered something that nobody else was talking about that allowed me to get that rate of return. So I'm not here to give any stock advice or recommendations, but following the right scenarios, the right people can position you to grow your money as long as you're doing your own homework and learning through the process and doing your due diligence. But also, as you dig and see the things that you're interested in, you want to see who's in control of this, who owns this, who owns this. Are they publicly traded? Nobody's talking about this. Can I profit as they grow? So hopefully that helps. That's how we were able to get over 100% rate of return due to those two things: tuning in and plugging in and doing our homework, but at the same time doing what I call rabbit hole investing. And that's something that allows you to learn how to fish so you can feed your family and not just have someone giving you the fish. Hopefully that helps. Mr. Smith signing out. Salute.